IGN Live at E3 2013. We've seen a ton of amazing games already, but don't be sad if you missed any. Just go to e3.ign.com and we'll be linking all these segments on the live show schedule. Up now, Batman Returns. And I'm not talking about the movie from the 90s. Batman Arkham Origins has a leaner, meaner, and younger Batman, so let's see how old Brucey is shaping up.
Holy Naomi, it's Ben. How you doing?
Great, how are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm a lot better now that you're here.
I live to please.
Let me tell you, I'm a huge fan of you at Rocksteady. You do a lot of great Batman games. Wait! What? Oh no! This is not Batman.
I can't. That's it. I'm leaving.
Batman Arkham Origins. Here you are. You're WB Games Montreal. You're stepping out on your own. You're doing this Batman. It's a prequel. Tell me all about it.
Sure. So, well, first of all, to start with, you said it. WB Games Montreal. So this is not the Rocksteady take on the universe. This is Montreal's take on the Arkham universe. And clearly, you know, we recognize that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We're inheriting one of the most beloved, you know, games in modern history as our launching point. And that's both...
No pressure,
exactly. So there is pressure, of course, but it's also a great position to start from because we inherited one of the top-rated games of all time as our launching point. So all of the threefold combat system, the Predator system, the navigation, all of that great core tech is what we started from. And then, of course, we added on top of that our core gameplay innovations, the detective system, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah, we're seeing it right here. We get to walk through the demo and talk
exactly.
to you.
Our open world is twice the size. We've got a ton of awesome content in it. It's a really wonderful foundation to start from. And we feel like we've created a story and a game which is not just, you know, worthy of being part of the Arkham franchise, but really stands on its own 2 feet as what we hope fans will agree is a spectacular Batman story and game.
So tell me, tell everybody at home, how this comes to be.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers comes to you, Rocksteady says, we're so busy. Can someone tell the origin story?
It's an interesting story, actually. How it came to pass is WB Games Montreal is about 3 years old now. In fact, we celebrated our 3rd birthday a couple of weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. We're so proud. And as we started building this studio, we were recognizing that we were attracting more and more senior level, AAA, Unreal experienced developers to the studio. People from Ubisoft and EA and THQ and Eidos. And it suddenly became clear we've got the makings of a very strong core AAA team here. And then the final sort of piece of the puzzle was when both Ames Kirshen, who is the VP for all DC properties at Warner Brothers Games, when he and I both started talking about the same guy, Eric Holmes, as a potential creative director. What just sort of happened at the time that Eric was, you know, interested in the next step in his career, he got in touch with me. He and I had known each other for a couple of years, and he said, "Hey, what's going up at Warner?" And I said,
"Funny,
we
should
talk."
Ask."
And honestly, like a couple of weeks later, it was a done deal. And so, with that core team in place, obviously there was some current concerns at first about, oh well, can they match Rocksteady quality, and can they, you know, can they this and can they that? And you know, I'm biased, obviously, but I'm proud to say that every step of the way we've just been showing ourselves and the organization, and now hopefully the world at large, that we deserve to play in this playground.
I mean, definitely at a glance, right? It's not like, what is this? What hackmaster has come in and done this? It looks like the Rocksteady game.
Yeah.
I like over here in the corner. We were seeing it a second ago. You had your crime in progress to go find. Then you were getting rated on a different little scale for XP and
our
stuff.
progression system. So one of the things we recognize is that there actually is a leveling system in Arkham City. It's just a little bit opaque. People didn't just necessarily understand, how did I get the XP with the, okay, well, whatever, now I'm going to go and I'm going to unlock something. And then they would go into the unlock screen, and they would maybe not exactly understand where to invest their points. Should I get ballistic armor, or should I get a, you know, backlog upgrade or whatnot? So we wanted to take the progression system and make it much more front and center. Have people understand which gadget upgrade is worth more, have a tree where they could see and work their way towards the ultimate unlock for the gadget in question.
And so that's what these grades are popping up.
Exactly, and so the grades show you the XP that you've gotten for a particular challenge based off of the difficulty of that configuration of enemies and how well you did in the fight.
Gotcha.
So if you have a very difficult enemy configuration and you do really well, you get a ton of XP. You see your XP bar grow, you know that you're that much closer towards your next unlock and therefore the next step in the progression curve. And we think that'll drive people to spend more time in the open world and hang out in the open world and look for fights that push them to advance their abilities as Batman, to further earn the black belt in being Batman as
Builds
it were.
a better bat.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. I hadn't heard this pitch. I like what you're selling so far.
Good.
You have my attention.
That's
for
what
those
I'm
at
aiming
home,
for.
what is happening right now in this story? It's Arkham Origins.
Yeah, exactly.
How long have we been Batman and what's happening?
Sure. Great question. So we like to say that it's an early career Batman story. It's
Okay.
not the origin of Batman per se. You're not tripping over your cape and blind because you pulled your cowl down too close on your eyes. You've been Batman for a couple of years. You know how to fight. You've got your gadgets. You've got a decent handle on the situation. And in fact, up until this point in his career, he's used to being the best. He's fighting pimps and drug lords, drug barons and that kind of thing. He's not really fighting the sort of rogues gallery that you expect of a Batman story. But that all changes on this Christmas Eve. This game takes place on Christmas Eve. And the major crime lord in Gotham, Black Mask, puts a $50 million bounty on Batman's head and hires the 8 best assassins in the DC universe to try and kill Batman.
Gotcha.
And so on this sort of formative night in his career, we really want to tell the story of how he changes, how he grows, and how he starts down that pathway from not just being a masked vigilante, but really starting to become the Dark Knight, the savior of Gotham, and the kind of guy who routinely goes up against the likes of Bane and Deathstroke and Deadshot, and of course all the other characters that we haven't talked about yet.
And that's the really fascinating thing. You guys had a trailer, obviously, that ran. You showed the Joker. You're interacting with these characters, some of them for the first time in this game, right? This is the origin story of how these relationships
of those
were found.
relationships.
That's really fascinating.
Exactly. We didn't want to say, like I said, this is Batman's origin or this is Joker's origin or whatever.
Because those have been told so many times, right?
Exactly. But the origin of their relationship is a really interesting story for us to tell. We like to sort of pay homage to the comic series The Legends of the Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, okay.
And how when that series started in '89 or roughly '89, it was the first time that Batman encountered the Joker, the first time that Joker broke out of Arkham Asylum, the first time that those events happened. And it made it so powerful because you got to take these writers who could look back over the canon and see all of these great stories and then put their own spin on it, their own touch, retell those events their way. And that's what this game gives us an opportunity to do. We think we are telling a fantastic Batman story and really reinforcing and growing some of those key relationships that you talked about, and what we hope people will acknowledge or accept is a very pivotal way for the franchise and for the Batman lore in general.
Now, you talked about that your map is X times bigger.
Yeah.
How many times is it? 5?
It's 2 times the size, roughly speaking. So we've got 2 major islands, the North Island, North Gotham and South Gotham, and a bridge that connects the 2. And you can run from the tip of the South all the way up to the tip of the North, in one big seamless flow.
So, did you take what was Arkham City before it became Arkham City and was completely destroyed and built it back out to be a normal Gotham?
Imagine that space before it was a prison.
Right.
It was a city.
Yeah.
And before it was a city, 7 years before that, it was a very different looking city. That area over in the East End hadn't yet been flooded. The Wonder Tower wasn't necessarily complete. Some of the landmarks were a little bit different. So our take on North Gotham is a fundamentally different spin on that environment, not to mention the fact that there is that complete bridge and all of the southern island, which are 100% new as well.
To switch gears completely, this is the new detective mode you were talking about?
Yes, good timing, good question. So I mentioned earlier the detective mode. One of the core fantasies of being Batman, right? The world's greatest detective.
Right.
And we saw an opportunity here to take the Batman's evidence scanner from the previous games and use that to further push that fantasy in a way that took core Batman gameplay of navigation and combat and exploration and gadget use, and tie it into narrative in an interactive way. So basically, he uses the sensors in his cowl to scan everything in an environment, take all of that data and upload it to the Bat computer in the Batcave, which digitally recreates the crime scene and pipes that simulation back onto his display, so he gets a sort of digital recreation, a sort of augmented reality style recreation.
So he can see how this helicopter went down and what happened
and then he can scan, he can rewind and fast forward, what we call scrubbing through the events, and track exactly where the simulation says the bullet ricocheted, or exactly how the body falled, or whatnot. And then once that's all done, boom, eureka, he can put his finger on it, figure out who's the culprit, who committed the crime, and then set out in the world to find that individual and bring them to justice.
Now, you know, you're showing a game here to the internet. Internet's full of a lot of haters. Haters
really?
are gonna. Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. You don't read the comments. It's fine.
I can't believe that could possibly be the case.
I know. It's tough, but for people who would want to hate on you, what would it be that why would Batman have this when he starts, but not when he's Batman down the line? At the time, continuity in comics so important.
Well, listen. Here's our take. First and foremost, awesome gameplay. We are not going to be beholden to a chronology that's going to that's going to cripple or otherwise limit our ability to make an awesome gameplay experience. There's no one who's ever suggested that Arkham Asylum or Arkham City takes place in a specific timeline in the real world. Oh, it's 2014 or it's 2017.
Right.
What matters is that we have that sort of parachronistic style where the city looks a little run down, a little bit old, a little bit older fashioned, as it were, and yet layered on top of that is the fantastic gadgetry and the fantastic technology of the world of Batman. But in particular, if people are saying, well, why didn't he have this ability in Arkham Asylum? Why didn't he have this ability in Arkham City? And they really wanted an answer tied into the narrative. To that, I would answer the following. It's definitely accepted within the Batman canon that he does not always take the same gadgetry or the same tools or the same functionality with him when he goes out into the world, right?
Right.
Sometimes he's got to go back to the Batcave and swap out his gadgets. Sometimes he leaves a specific tool at home because he's going to solve a problem this way or he's going to solve a problem that way. So will this experience and this tool make a return visit in some sort of hypothetical future Arkham experience? Entirely possible.
I like what you're doing.
But there's no need for us to say that it had to have been used in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Makes perfect sense. Haters, Ben's got your number. When does Arkham Origins come out?
Arkham Origins ships worldwide October 25th on PS3, Xbox 360, PC, Wii U. Of course, there's also the Arkham Origins Blackgate.
Looking forward to this Vita
companion experience on the Vita and the 3DS. We had a really wonderful time collaborating with the guys at Arcane on that one. It's a great opportunity to take our story, sort of continue it in a new setting, some familiar faces, some new faces as well, and also continue that story of this early career Batman before the events of Arkham Asylum. So I definitely recommend people check that one out as well.
Oh, great. Ben, thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to kick it back over to my personal Batgirl, Naomi Kyle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg Miller. Never going to have too much Batman in your life, of course. Certainly not in my life. Right now we have infamous Second Son, so stay tuned.